Yes, indeed, and welcome back to our third set of interviews here. This is Sports Check with me, Bernardo Okumu. A lovely morning to have the Kenya Curling Federation team members in the studio to talk about the prospects of the team and also how did the 2023 performance and activities inform their urge to do well this particular year or season. You know, and of course, to speak to us is Peter Owino, the CEO from Kenya Curling Federation, Grace Kimathi, team manager for the national team, and also player called Walter Wanjala. Karibuni sana, Sports Check. Yes, and Grace, the team had really good running last year. You know, the sport kind of not so new, and of course the weather that supports the sport is not found in this part of Sahara. You know, so you can tell us about the development of the game since its inception in the country.
Okay. As you heard, my name is Grace from Kenya Curling. The Kenya Curling sport was registered in Kenya in 2020. Then it was founded by Madam Laventa Oguta. And our very first participation was in 2022. We did it in Calgary, in Canada, and we won. It was our very first, and we won a bronze medal, the women team. So it came as an achievement to us, being in the pool for the first time. But I may start by saying that our team is in category B. We are yet to go for Olympics. So when you qualify to be in category A, it's when you can participate in the Olympics. Then we are in the junior team through the sponsorship of NOC, National Olympic Committee Kenya. They sponsored our junior team to Norway for training. And we are so grateful. That was in 2022 still. Then in 2023, both men and women team, we participated in Kelowna, Canada, British Columbia. We didn't bring any medal, but it was a series of experience. We learned a lot, and we are planning to learn more. Those were the major events that took us last year.
Yes, and maybe to Peter. Peter, yes. Grace has just spoken about how some of the steps that the sport is slowly taking to get to maybe where some of the best ranked countries or some of the best nations that play the game. Moving from category B to category A, what will it take?
What will it take exactly? It's going to take a lot of training. We're actually asking for support from the government. Okay, throughout the years, training in Kenya has been a challenge because, you know, we only have one ice rink in Kenya. And accessing that facility is usually a challenge because it's a private facility. So we are going to try to train harder, get more time to train, do our best, go to tournaments, do our best, and get to a level that we can get to category A.
Does it involve playing matches and beating the nations, and what kind of competition?
Yeah, it involves that. It involves competing with various countries, going to tournaments, and doing our best, and even winning medals.
Grace, you could add on that. What kind of nations should Kenya be playing against, and maybe in what direction do you think the rank can go up?
Okay, last year we came at position 4, which means we are just near there. We were beaten by Jamaica, and it was a very new team in the pool. It was their very first tournament, and maybe this year when we have hopes of beating that team, and when we qualify to at least a bronze medal, it will place us to category A, where we are able to participate at the Olympic.
Yes, Walter, how did you pick up the sport?
I was playing kabaddi before I started playing curling. So my coach in kabaddi, Madam Laventa, was the one who introduced me to the sport. And when I came to the sport, I came to love the sport actually, because it's a very beautiful sport. Yeah, so I started in March curling. Yeah.
Transitioning from a contact sport to a sport that you don't come in contact with nobody but just the cones on the floor. How did it take you to transition to that, to love curling?
I actually still play kabaddi, so I play curling. And
you play for which team?
Kasarani Lions.
Kasarani Lions.
Yeah.
The game for the playoffs, will you be in the team too?
Yeah, I will.
What position do you play? A raider?
I'm a raider, yes. Yeah. In transitioning in curling, it's more of the brain than the muscle. So I believe I use a lot of brains in curling. Then when it comes to kabaddi, I use a lot of muscle. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get the pictures later on. But when you're rolling the cone on the floor, there's something else that the second person is doing, like trying to direct the cone, or what happens?
It's called sweeping.
Yes.
So curling is a sport played on ice, whereby you throw a stone towards a target. Then the person sweeping tries to control the stone towards the target. So it's more like coordinating between the person throwing the stone and the person sweeping towards the target. Yeah.
So sweeping, does it produce some kind of force or energy?
Sweeping actually softens the ice and makes the stone to go further than if you did not sweep the stone in front of the stone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you're part of the team that's, like the pioneer team that's fighting hard to get Kenya to the top of the game.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
For the love of the game, I believe that I will fight my best to better curling more. Yeah, we've been practicing in Panari Hotel, but actually the past 2 weeks we were not able to go to practice because of the management of Panari Hotel say that we cannot come to practice over there because of reasons known best to them. So we were actually hoping that we can go back to practicing, because our hearts as players are bleeding as we see other teams in other countries practicing, while us as Kenyans trying to qualify for the Olympics in curling, so not practicing. Yeah.
That's a big challenge, Peter and Grace. You are the helm of the management of the team, but now what's the option when the only ice rink is closed?
Okay, the options is when the ice rink is closed, we are left with none other option than going to practice abroad. We are having friend race.
Are there the resources?
The resources, for now there are no resources. We just hope for the best, and we thank the government, the Ministry of Sports. We thank NOC. They have stood with us, and they have really supported us, and we hope they will continue supporting us for the training, for us to be somewhere.
Peter, I mean, the best option is Kenya or a public ice rink.
Yeah, that's what we're actually advocating for. We are kindly asking the government if they could. We've actually engaged the World Curling. Yeah, if we could support us with the government to get an ice rink. The ice rink we won't only be for the Kenya curling. There are a lot of winter sports in Kenya. We can actually play ice hockey there. There's ice skating, also curling. So it's not going to benefit only curling. Even the community will benefit. Yeah. So we're only advocating for, if we could only get an ice rink for the public, we can even go further with this curling. Yeah.
Because the ladies won bronze on their debut.
Yeah, they did that. Yeah. So imagine if we had our own curling that we could go train at any time we wanted, or even on a daily basis.
Yes.
We could go very far.
And sports that involve the winter sports, right?
Yeah.
Most of the players, most of them actually, they are forced, or they pick up the sport while living abroad. Now,
exactly.
For curling, it's a little bit different because you're all from here.
Yeah, most of the team members are from Kenya.
Yes.
So what we normally do is we go abroad when we have a tournament upcoming, any upcoming tournaments. We try to organize with the government or just as a federation and go and train abroad weeks before the tournaments or the matches. Yeah.
So that acts as you go there, train and wait for the tournament.
We go train, catch up with the environment and all that. Yeah. Because the time you get here to train, it's not actually enough. And it's actually very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much, maybe you can reveal, how much you pay per session? And
usually it's around $10 per session. Yeah, session goes for like 2 hours. Yeah. So you see, it's quite expensive.
Yeah, quite expensive.
Yeah.
And the team...
Those are the challenges we are experiencing as a team.
That means that the clubs playing it, like I was talking to Grace, you know, she's also from prisons, and she told me that there is an invite for the prisons team, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe I just heard about the prisons team only.
No, we don't only have the prisons, we have the KDF, we also have the Kenya Police. Yeah, we are still trying to grow the sport. We are going to be introducing the sport in schools. Yeah. We'll actually introduce the floor curling before they graduate to the ice.
Ice?
Yeah.
For how long? For how long does it, like, what you're looking at, 1 year, then players take it up?
Yes. Introducing the sport?
Yes, from the floor.
From the floor.
Graduating to ice now.
Oh, it will depend. Yeah, it will depend with the resources we have and how good they shall have grown with the sport. Yeah.
Yes. Grace, talk about the prisons team and the invite that they got, you know, and how maybe it's the prisons thinking about pulling resources together with the KDF or the discipline forces and just come up with their own ice rink.
Okay, we got an invite as the forces, and me being in the prisons, obviously that one, the prisons has to come to the limelight. And we are yet to speak to our bosses about the same, and we hope for the best. This training will mean a lot to us. Actually, it's in the USA, and it will bring exposure to players. Like I noted when we were playing in Canada, players were getting used to the game. They were getting smarter with the game as the days goes by, which means with training, people can go far. Yeah. Yeah,
and actually it goes with the access to the facility.
Yeah, with the access we have to pay also. Yeah, you don't just go and pop in someone's club and you start training. There are some rules and regulations that govern each and every club. So also you have to pay for the training, but the friendlies, maybe that we can do local arrangements with the clubs. Yeah.
And Walter, listening to Grace and Peter here, speaking about the sport, really, it's demanding for your determination and for your zeal.
Yes, of course. It is said that for one to become a legend in curling, you need 3 to 4 hours per day for 10 years to actually be perfect in the game. So I believe that as a Kenyan curling player, I've been putting in the effort, also as my fellow teammates. We've actually been practicing a lot, even with the few resources that we have. And we believe if we get a little bit more access into the resources that our management is trying to get us, we're going to actually go very far with this sport. Yes.
Yes, and maybe who are some of the legends that you look up to, the legends in the game?
Some of the legends are like Eric from Sweden.
Yes.
Yeah, he's actually played. We've also faced a lot of, we've also been given a lot of advices from coaches from Australia who've actually dedicated their time to help us develop in this new sport. Because coming from Africa and actually going to places like Canada and giving them challenges is not very easy. Yeah, as new people in the sport. Yeah.
And of course, to the team, what do you think they gave for them to get the good results there? You know, registering good results, you know, or impressive performances. You know, and when they try to find out, they really find out like you're putting everything on the line to just perform.
I believe it's the passion. They had a lot of passion, because if you step into new places, then you are walking over eggshells everywhere. Because I believe when they went there, they were facing new rules that had not yet been explained to them before. But as time went by, they tried to get into the element. They tried their best, and the results that they brought, I believe, we're going to better them this year. Yeah.
Yes, and this year, where's the team headed to, Peter?
We have a lot of tournaments lined up this year. First of all, we have Africa Curling Championship. It will be held in Italy. Though
Africa Championship will be in Italy, right?
Italy, yeah.
Oh, so it means that the International Federation is behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
Supporting
So
it. Yeah.
we are still organizing on the dates. We are still not sure of the dates.
How many countries in Africa pick
We
up
actually
the
only
snow and
have
ice sport?
2. We have Kenya and Nigeria. Yeah.
And that means that it should be easy for such countries to get into, the category B, because you have no opponents,
No, that's actually not the case. They don't use the regions to like place you in a category. Yeah, they use
you have to play the rest of the world.
Exactly. You have to play other nations. Yeah, apart from the Africa Curling Championships, we also have the Open Tatras Open Air in Slovakia. That will be in March. We have the mixed doubles in Sweden around April. Mixed doubles, it's curling is the only game played. You'll find women and men playing at the same match at the same time. Yeah, it's the only game.
Yeah. But in athletics, people also mixed relays.
No, nice. Okay, anyway, after mixed doubles, you still have senior men curling. Yeah. So there's a lot of games lined up this year.
Yes, and of course that means that with Africa only 2 countries means that you're sharing the federation, the Continental Federation.
Yeah, exactly. We are under Africa Curling Federation.
Yes, and how does Africa think about the projection, the growth of the sport?
We're actually trying to advocate for more countries to get into the sport.
So they may have the numbers.
So yeah, exactly. We don't want to be just competing Nigeria alone,
because 2 countries, the competition is a bit...
we would have loved to see Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, other countries.
The North African countries.
Northern African countries.
Neighbors Uganda. Pick up the sport.
We would have loved to see them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this will definitely give the voice will be amplified if there are more countries.
Yeah.
And the resources
will be taken seriously.
Yes, exactly. Right now they pull their legs. They pull their legs when it comes to listening to what you want, like supporting you, because it will be so easy for the International Federation to really build the capacity of the 2 sides from Africa or the tropicals.
So we're only advocating for other countries. In fact, as a federation, Africa, we're still trying to get more countries in.
Yes.
To strengthen the game.
Yes. And capacity building, maybe you can mention that briefly, then Grace will also add, now the coaches, for instance, Walter, people handling him, introducing him to the sport, where have they gotten their training from? And how do you build the coaches who are already here? How do you make sure that they get sharper and sharper every day? That means getting introduced to the new knowledge that's coming in the game. And
so what we normally do as we go for tournaments outside, we get to link up with other players and other coaches outside. So during the time that we're outside, we go with the coaches that are in Kenya. We go with them, they get trained for a period of like 2 weeks. They come back with the knowledge and instill in the players.
Grace, this looks like a little bit small headache, right?
Yeah. It's a bit hectic. Sometimes even our federation president has to use her own money to sponsor for the trainings, because there's no coach who will come to train for free, honestly. So like it's a bit of headache, but we just build the capacity by watching a lot of YouTube and doing the practice that you watched when you reach the ground, the training ground. And right now it's a bit tricky because of the training in Panari that has been stopped. So it means
an alternative venue is the same venue.
There's no other alternative. It's the same venue.
No alternative.
And considering curling is a bit expensive, Even one curling stone alone is very expensive. It's about $8,000. $500 per se. So the curling shoes, they are very expensive. They are $100. So like,
and we can't get them locally.
We need like 16 stones for there to be a curling club, for there to be a curling club, and the curling shoes. Yeah, they are special. Yeah, they just can't be bought here in Africa because definitely the Africans know that there is no winter sport here. So there's no snow, so they cannot sell such equipment here in Africa. We have to order them from abroad. Yeah.
Yes, and Walter, last year, of course, Grace will tell you that the men's and women's team, they did well, right, in the Pan-Continental Games, you know, and definitely this year is equally bigger for players, right?
Yeah.
What are your projections?
We actually have a couple of events coming up. Around 16th March to 24th March, we have the World Curling Championship happening in Sydney, Scotanovia. Then from around 30th March to 7th April, now we the men will be going for the World Curling Championship. So if you look at our projections, we actually have the opportunity to set our name out there as the Kenya curling team. So I really hope that we can be able to go for these trips so that we can also gauge ourselves where we've reached as at now. Yes.
And of course, for you, how long do you see, what do you want to help Kenya achieve on the international stage?
Of course, I want to go to the Olympics. I want to take Kenya to the Olympics because Kenya has only had 2 Olympians in the winter sport, back in 1986 and 2018.
Yes.
So if we as curling, Kenya curling players will be able to go for Olympics, we'll be able to bring the medals back home.
Yeah, and in fact, not having ice or snow here is not a problem, is not an issue, because maybe I could use the Nigerian example. They had a bobsleigh team at the Olympics, you know, in Rio. And they did it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's not here nor there, but for you players to work hard and keep looking at the Olympic tickets. Of course, there are 2 more youngsters who are the Winter Olympics that's happening, I think, from this week. You know, those are some of the people that maybe you're looking up to them to encourage you guys as you also get into the waters, because the pioneer team, basically nothing has been done, so it's your role to cut down all the trees and make the road, which is very hectic sometimes, and to the players. Now, how do you understand that you need to cut down the trees and pave the way for everybody?
I actually, as the vice captain, I believe that will be easy because we have very young players, which means that it will be easy to prune them into the standards that we want them to reach. So we will try our best as a people and as the team to actually grow together. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, Peter, growth of the game, I know several various groups of the people in the society have picked it up, the young as well as the old, you know. Now, how does the Federation plan to introduce it across maybe in the country and see results, you know, like the planned results? What are the targets?
Oh, the targets we have right now is, okay, the first thing we are going to do is introduce the floor curling, since we only have 1 ice rink in...
Yeah, floor curling, which has been around for some time, right?
Which is just we only have 1 ice rink in Nairobi. So the only alternative is to introduce the floor and then grow it into an ice. So what we are only appealing to the government is if they could kindly help us to get a public ice rink. Yeah, it will grow the sport. We are very sure of that. Yeah,
and maybe approaching
the only way. Yeah,
maybe approaching schools that have the ability to have our ice rink.
Yeah, that's also a plan. Yeah.
And maybe, Grace, the prisons team, how it was formed from the zeal and the ambition to do well, and how is it so far?
Okay, the prisons team was, of course, I was the pioneer. I introduced the game there, and since there are some players, the same players who play kabaddi prison team are the same players that are playing curling. So, and being that they are based in Nairobi, and they are near the Panari Ice Link, that's how we were able to form the team very simply. Yeah.
Yes, and so far the projections are well, and the team is in high spirits. Do you have club championships?
The team is in high spirits, and we don't have specific championships for the prisons.
For the club, yeah.
Yeah, they have to fight and join the national team.
That's where the action is.
Yeah, that's where the action is. Yes.
Yes. Walter, you turn out for I mean, the club level, but you get into the national team. What I mean, how do you get your mind? You know, you're wearing on the national colors, you know, and leveling up and just performing. How do you get your mind right? You know,
I believe challenges make us stronger. So I love facing challenges in my life. So when my coach, Madame Laventa, told me there's this new sport, I want you to come and try this also. I see you're good at kabaddi, but also try this one. I actually took it as a challenge. I made sure I never missed training. I made sure I learned all the rules. I did my research very well. And I think that's why I can be able to proudly wear this color as a Kenyan.
Yes.
Yeah.
The red, black, and green.
Yeah.
What else? White and?
And white and yeah.
Yes. Peter?
Yes.
I mean, the growth of the sport. Maybe are you looking at introducing to the maybe the disabled to also pick it up?
Yeah, actually, we have a disabled team. Yeah, there's a team comprising of deaf, the deaf. Yeah. Apart from the deaf, we are also advocating for the disabled because we also have wheelchair tournaments. Yeah, curling tournaments. Yeah, we are actually planning to bring them on board. Yeah.
And how does Africa have a voice? How does the two nations, so let's say other nations that will come, how have you projected? How do you plan to have a voice? One voice for the continent, so that, you know, the teething problems, they'll always be there, but now as countries that picked it up earlier, like now Kenya, Nigeria, you know, they should be dreaming, of course they're all dreaming of getting to category A. Now, but what's your voice now? How does Africa plan to have a voice?
Okay, apart from individual, like acting as a individual nation, we have the Africa Curling Federation. Yes. With which normally sits on the upper tables with these other countries.
International.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we are members of the World Curling. World Curling is the international body that runs all the curling events throughout the world. Yeah, so using that, we can use it to advocate and to bargain for resources and all those other issues that concern curling. Yeah.
And of course, this year, great championships last year, the pan-continental events in British Columbia. Despite that, in 2022, Grace was just informing me earlier, the women's team did finish third, or they got bronze. They ended up on the podium, you know, which is a great catalyst for the sport. Yeah. Now, this year, what are the projections for the men's team? For the men's team, this year we are hoping to rise. Our target is actually to get to category A. Yeah, so we are hoping we are going to perform better this year and get all those medals here and get to category A. Yeah, including the junior teams. Yeah. Yes, and Grace, about the women's team. You know, the bronze in 2022, last year things were a little bit tougher. How do you project this year, 2024 now? Okay, this year when we went to British Columbia, we noted our weaknesses, and actually our biggest weakness was the lack of proper training, because the people they are playing, it's their ground, they are used to it, and then funny enough, the ice rink at Panari is totally different with the main ice rink that we were playing. The one that we were playing is so slippery, such that
it came as a, you see, the players were using a lot of force in the ice rink in Panari. I think it's because it has so many events going on there, like the ice hockey and others. So when we reached the ground, the main ground, it was so tricky for us. But I think through training and maybe God willing, if we get training abroad, and get used to that same ice link, I promise you will be somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe closing remarks from Walter. What's your hope for the sport this year?
My hope is that God will continue blessing us as He has been in last year. So we believe this year will even be more favorable on our part because we are very hardworking people. So I believe the hard work will reciprocate on the results.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the prayer for everybody around. Thank you so much, Grace. Thank you so much, Peter and Walter, for making your time on a sports check. That's from the Kenya Curling Federation. Of course, that was Peter Pio, the CEO for the Kenya Curling Federation, and of course Grace Kimathi, the TM, also plays for the Prisons Curling Ladies team, and Walter Wanjala, player for the national team. Thank you so much for turning up on Sports Check this lovely morning. But of course, the Sports Check continues.